The Los Angeles Clippers are one of the hottest and even scariest teams right now in the entire NBA, and that is a very, very interesting sentence because if you knew what they were from the beginning of the year and even when they first traded for James Harden, there were a lot of struggles going on and a lot of people had tons and tons of doubt about them, and a lot of people really just had their reservations. Even some announcers, I think the Dallas Mavericks announcer or something was dissing James Harden and things like that. And overall, I just think that they are really figuring it out, and I think there's a few reasons why, and I'm going to be getting all that in this video of why I think that the Los Angeles Clippers are going to be such a scary team for anyone to play once it comes to playoff time. I think there's a few different reasons why I do think that this team is going to be so successful this entire year, and even going into the playoffs, they have a chance to make a lot of noise, and I think there's a few reasons to why they're playing at such a high level even right now in the regular season. So if that does sound interesting to you and you want to watch this video all the way through, please do. If you do like the video, point to the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me, and without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's get right into this video. So the first thing I want to get into is going to be the fact that they are finally figuring out how to play together and how to everyone utilize each other at the highest level possible. Now, the Clippers, when they first traded for James Harden, were looking very, very suspect. I think they lost they lost a lot of games straight when they first traded for James Harden, but then they decided to go with the decision of benching Russell Westbrook and having him be their sixth man off their bench and starting Terrence Mann in his place. And since he has done that, this team went on a 22-6 run, in which they are currently still on, may I add, and now find themselves as a top 5 offense in terms of efficiency in the entire NBA. So they have done a complete 360 turnaround, or I guess 180 if you want to turn around. Shut up, Cody. So they did a complete turnaround of this team, and they look like a very, very good team, okay? And they have been extremely, extremely good as a team, but not even just as a team. Individually, their big three is playing very, very well. As if you dive into the numbers individually, in that 28 game stretch where they went 22-6, their big three has been playing at an extremely high level, as Kawhi Leonard in that 28 game stretch is averaging 25 points per game, 1 block per game, 1.8 steals per game, 3.5 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game on 55% shooting from the field, 43% shooting from the three-point line, and 91% from the free throw line. So Kawhi Leonard is looking like his old MVP level self, number one guy on a contending level team for sure. He's still an extremely high level player and is at this point becoming kind of underrated due to all the injuries he's had. A lot of people don't talk about Kawhi Leonard anymore, but he is legitimately still a top 10 player in this league, and he is showing it right here, and he's even doing it on both ends, averaging damn near 2 blocks per game as a power/small forward is extremely, extremely impressive. And then you even have Paul George, who this year in this 28 game stretch is averaging 23.4 points per game, 1.3 steals per game, 3.7 assists per game, 5.5 rebounds per game on 46% shooting from the field and 48% shooting from the three-point line, also shooting 91% from the free throw. And both of these players, Paul George and Kawhi, are playing at an unbelievably efficient level. Those numbers, although they're not the great, like 23 points per game is great, don't get me wrong, although they're not like unbelievable super high stats that you're going to see from like Luka or Jokic, those numbers are extremely, extremely efficient, and they're both doing it on both sides of the ball, which is very, very impressive. And for them both to be averaging 20 plus points per game like they are doing on such good efficiency is extremely, extremely impressive for an NBA team to be able to work that well together. And then you add in the fact that James Harden in the same stretch of games is averaging 17 points per game, 1 block per game, 1.3 steals per game, 9.2 assists per game, 4.7 rebounds per game on 46% shooting from the field and 43% shooting from the three and 86% shooting from the free throw line. You will now find that all three of these players are playing at an extremely efficient and high level on both sides of the ball. For James Harden to be averaging a block per game and a steal per game shows you he's even buying in on the defensive end of the ball. And if you knew James Harden back when he was in Houston, he played 0 defense. These numbers would be unbelievable for Houston James Harden to ever average. So he even, although still not an elite defender or anything, is even becoming a very solid defender, and in my opinion is legitimately the most underrated passer in the NBA due to how good he can score and how good he used to score when he was the guy winning MVPs and things. I think people are becoming a little too harsh on James Harden. They still have this mindset that he's a selfish player, despite the guy damn near averaging 10 assists per game. That is insane for a guy to do. And James Harden is fully embracing his role. And for the guy that's sacrificing and becoming more of a playmaker, quote unquote, For him to be averaging an efficient 17 points per game on great efficiency is unbelievable. So this big three is legitimately fitting together at a very, very nice pace, and they're only going to learn how to play together at even better rates and even learn even kind of more of the intricate details as time goes on in this NBA season. And luckily for them, they traded for Harden early enough for this development to take place, and they're going to be able to build off each other. They've already gone through adversity when he first got there, and I think they're really figuring out how to play together, and their play is only going to improve from here. And then, even if you zoom out of just the big three and their core group of players that's really going to help them win a championship, they are still a very well-built roster, and they are built for the playoffs through and through. Like, they're not like the Phoenix Suns, who have great players on their team, but their bench is very much suspect, or their role players are very suspect. They're not one of those teams, okay? They legitimately have a great big three of stars that can compete with anyone else in the playoffs. Star for star, the Clippers can match you. But role player for role player, they can match you as well, as Ivica Zubac has been a very solid average level starting center in the NBA for a very long time. He's a vet. He's not going to do anything stupid. He's going to do what you need him to do. Terrence Mann, on the other hand, can still give you 20 points if you ever need him to, but he even can do a multitude of things, and for them two to be the guys rounding out your starting lineup is extremely solid. And then even their bench is also an extremely good one, as Russell Westbrook's kind of embracing his role on the defensive end of the ball and being more of a energy type guy off the bench, and he has been a very solid guy at what he's doing. Yes, his three-point shot, and he still has his flaws in his game, and he's definitely not the Westbrook of old, but he's still a very good energy guy. He's embracing his role. He's playing defense. He's doing the things that you want your bench players to do, and he is being a leader. And the fact that he volunteered to come off their bench shows he still has that leadership quality to him, and he definitely makes him a better player. And a lot of teams would love to have Westbrook, or a guy like Westbrook, coming off of their bench. They have Norman Powell, who's a great scorer, one of the more underrated scorers off of anyone's bench. He can go out and give you 20 anytime he wants. He is an absolute bucket. He's a sniper from the three-point line. Mason Plumlee is a solid center, probably could start on a few teams, just a solid veteran center to have, and that is a legit 8-man rotation if they can stay healthy that can get you through an entire playoff run, as all three of them are veterans, all three of them knows what it takes to win, and all three of them are just going to be trustworthy to have in a playoff series. And put on top of that the fact that their starting lineup can compete with anyone else's starting lineup, and I think you have a recipe for success, and they legitimately could shock a few people. Now, yes, their biggest issue is going to be health. You hope Kawhi and Paul George and Harden, you hope those guys can make it to the playoffs, which has not been the case for a few years now. But if this team can just make it to the playoffs healthy, they legitimately can compete and beat anyone if they're playing at a high enough level. Now, am I saying they're going to make it to the finals? Am I saying they're going to win the finals? No, but there is a legitimate shot that they can make and go to the finals if they can stay healthy and can legitimately win at a high level and stay healthy. And I think their team is built for it. I think their stars are meshing together well. I think they're figuring out how to play together. I just think overall this team is playing at a very high level right now, and the Clippers are terrifying to a lot of other teams in the Western Conference right now. But unfortunately, guys, that's my videos. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think the Clippers are one of the best teams in the West? Where do you think they're going to finish? Where do you think they can win the finals? What are your thoughts in the comment section below? If you do like, point, hit the like button, and subscribe button. I mean, that's what word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.